Welcome to FOH Deep Dive. And this week we have Manuel Sotelo. Manuel, Manny, you've been on FOH since when?
Ooh, I want to say since 2009, 2000, yeah, about just about. Yeah, because most of my boxes that I had gotten from you guys, I believe, were from around 2010. I know I got my BHK 2010s back then, all that. I want to say
Yeah, yeah.
2009, 2008, possibly.
You're a long time member
Yeah,
of,
very long.
of FOH. But where does this deep dive find you today? Which part of the world are you in?
So, so I'm in the United States. I'm in California, in Los Angeles. Um, that's I've been here. I've born and bred in Los Angeles, and this is my home.
Ah, LA. I love LA.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
like
I love LA.
we're lucky because we have such a large cigar smoking community, and everybody's so close together. So I'm gonna say we're pretty lucky in that aspect, especially being here in LA.
Yeah, I know people knock LA for various reasons, and it's too busy. And look, the traffic does suck, people. The traffic
It
does
does.
LA. It does, but it's like multiple cities in one. You can find so many different. I'm going to say cultures. You can immerse yourself in so many different areas. You can be in Beverly Hills. You can be out in the burbs. They all have their own little, I don't know, subcultures to them, which
They
I enjoy
do.
all of them. I
We're,
enjoy all of them.
we're very diverse here. It's great.
What shaped you early on in the world of cigars? I mean, your first cigars. What got you into? Did you start in that realm of non-Cubans and moved into Cubans, or how did you start?
So my very first introduction to cigars was a fake Monte Cristo #2 in Mexico. I had gone to
Surprise,
I
surprise.
know, and I thought I was the coolest guy in the world. I always had heard cigar smoking was kind of cool, and I want to say 22 when I smoked my first cigar. And we had gone a trip, me and a couple of friends, down to Puerto Nuevo, down past a little bit past TJ. And there was this guy selling cigars, and I was like, "Oh, are those Cubans?" He was like, "Yeah." And I knew nothing about cigars at that time. He pulled out a Monty #2, and I had heard of Monty twos before, via the big screen and whatever movies I'd watched. Um, and so he pulled one out, and I was like, "I'll take that one." I don't remember how much I paid. I want to say maybe $10 back
Yeah.
then. 47 now, so that still was probably pretty pricey back then. Um, yeah, and that was my first introduction to cigars. I thought it was the greatest cigar I ever smoked in the world. Obviously, I didn't know anything about cigars, and I had nothing to compare it to. But I have a picture of myself smoking it, thinking I'm all cool. But it was an experience. And what got me actually into cigars is I was working in Beverly Hills. I was working for Sprint at the time on Little Santa Monica, and there was this diner that was across the street from us. And a lot of the guys, from the brokerage houses, would always come down and go eat at that diner. It was an open air diner at that time. And I remember that I just saw this one guy. I was thinking, like, well, what hobbies do I want to take up as I'm getting older? Because I was doing paintball and a bunch of other things prior to that. And I was like, I want to take on this like hobby, and drinking and smoking came to mind. And so I saw this guy. He rolled up at the time the Z8s just came out, the one that BMW and James Bond just came out. He was dressed to the nine. I mean, really slick looking guy. Pulls out a cigar, lights it, sitting out there and just enjoying his lunch. And I was like, that looks cool. I want to be that guy. And that's how I started getting into cigars. I was lucky to find Kramer's Smoke Shop down the street. I don't believe they're there anymore, but it was a Kramer Smoke Shop. And my first introduction to non-Cubans was probably a Dunhill Connecticut wrapper cigar that they had at the time when Dunhill was making cigars. And then the rest is history.
You didn't stick with non-Cuban cigars? Did you investigate non-Cuban cigars? Did you ever
So, so
have
what?
anyone that stood out?
So in that area, there were, it was hard to find real Cuban cigars, and I had, the internet was still just coming on at that time. We didn't have what we have now, this great diversity, and just, I can just shoot it. I can Google it. Google wasn't even around. I think
Yeah.
we had Netscape Navigator and AOL, and everything was dial up. So good luck with that. There was a smoke shop the opposite down the street on Little Santa Monica called Buena Vista Cigars. The owner is his name is Rigo. And I would pass by every so often, but they were always closed. And finally, this one guy walked into our store one day smoking a cigar. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm sorry, you can't smoke here. Can you leave it outside? He's like, yeah, no problem. I was like, but if I can ask, where did you get that cigar? And is it Cuban? And he was like, well, yeah, this is a Cuban cigar. I got it from down the street, but he's not going to sell you cigars because he doesn't know you. So I was like, okay. So we got to chatting. I sold him and his family a phone. And he writes, he's like, he pulls out a business card. He writes on the back, Manny's okay. He's like, look, you take this card to him and he'll take care of it. So I remember, like I said, I would walk back and forth and they were always closed. He didn't open until 4 and I didn't know that at the time. So I walked to the store and just so happened, I peeked in the window and I saw somebody cleaning. So I knocked on the window real quick and, Rigo comes. If anybody out there knows who Rigo is, I'm sure a lot of people do. Very charismatic.
They've got a little lounge at the front, haven't they? A little lounge.
Yes. And they go upstairs.
I've been there.
Yeah. He's a great guy. And I remember I walked, he opened the door. He's like, can I help you? I'm like, hi. I was like, oh, I just want to find out your guys' hours. He told me his hours. And I remember I go, do you sell Cuban cigars? Nobody was in there, but I was, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was whispering. And Larry, he's like, what did you say? In his Cuban accent. I was like, do you sell Cuban cigars? He's like, baby, if you want a Cuban, just ask. And that was it. And so, yeah, that was my main introduction. And then, like I said, the internet was just coming on. So then I discovered La Casa de Habano in Hamburg.
Yeah.
And then another local cigar merchant here in Pasadena called Cigars by Chivas. So I became a member at Cigars by Chivas, and I had been with him since early 2011s. Anto's a really good guy. But then I was getting a lot of my Cubans at that time from Hensburg, La Casa in Germany.
Hensburg,
and so they would send that out to me, but then they stopped. And then prices were, at that time, I was kind of worried, like, am I getting the real thing? Am I not? I did have an unfortunate event with one of the larger, at the time, vendors sending me something that wasn't real. And then maybe 2 years later, I discovered you guys. And I discovered you because I got together with I was starting to meet a lot of people in the cigar industry. And they're like, hey, have you heard of Friends of Habanos? And I was like, no, I haven't. They're like, Rob is a great guy. At that time, I believe you had to be recommended to get into with you guys. It was just,
True, Manny, back in those days, in the early internet days, remember you needed to have a secret password. People wouldn't give their sources.
Yeah,
you need to be part of the inner circle to get sources. And it was so difficult.
I think that's what kept it unique though and pure. And you guarded your source. I know a lot of people like, oh, why are you gatekeeping? Well, at least I gate kept because you guys were important. And you guys were like, it was like almost like with family. And you don't want to just, introduce your family to just anybody because you never know what's going to happen or what they're going to say and how they might hurt your family. So
no, it makes sense. Take us back to your early work history. So where did you work? What did you do? You went to school, you left school, you went to...
So after college, I dropped out of college. I got a scholarship for Long Beach. College just wasn't for me. I really wasn't being taught anything I felt that I already didn't know. So I stopped going to college and then I jumped into sales. And I did phone sales for a while. At that time, it was very lucrative. I mean, selling a cell phone, you're making ridiculous amounts of money at that time. And it was great. So then I geared more towards the marketing side. So I ended up starting a marketing company and I just fell into workers' comp and personal injury. So I was the guy who would help attorneys and doctors get their patients or their clients. And then I would handle like ancillaries and all other types of DME, like personal medical equipment. And I would get paid that way by help funneling patients and clients towards doctors and attorneys and helping with patient care.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, a lot of my friends ended up going to jail. So it didn't work out for the long run, but it was a good 5-year stretch.
I think sales in your early 20s, 30s, I don't care especially in your early part of life, like real sales, like sales where you have to front up, make the call, service customers, to become a rainmaker is one of the great, to me, one of the great college educations that people can get.
I agree.
Gives you confidence if you do it right. You do the, I mean, I love those show ponies. I love the Tony Robbins stuff that's out there, in those early days. Because when you're in sales in those early days, you want to learn as much Zig Ziglar, all that sort of stuff. And if you do it right, 4 or 5 years in sales to become a rainmaker, I'd take that over a university or a college, a shithouse college degree any day of the week. I think nothing sets you up best, especially if you're going to go into work for yourself later on,
Right.
is to do that.
And I think I got lucky because at that time, businesses were were going from commission sales to
Yeah.
non-commission sales. So in my early work years, I want to say I was very fortunate to meet a lot of these hardcore hitting, commission set driven salesmen who took me under their wing and taught me how to play the game. And what I try to do is take the best of each one and put that into myself to become better. And like I said, I became the third largest marketing company for workers' comp and personal injury in California, which isn't easy.
No.
I came from the very bottom to dealing with the top of the top in regards to doctors, CEOs of hospitals, etc. And then once all that died down, I opened up or started a trucking company. So I did well in that for about a good, I want to say another 4 years, and then I sold that off and semi-retired.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot better than I did. I started. I I left home early. I left home when I was 17. Much to my mother's disgust, she still talks to me about it today. And but she was a loving mum, but very cloying. And so I thought I can do this by myself. So I moved out, and I was studying economics at university, and I was packing shelves at night time at Woolworths, and worked out that Jesus, it's hard to pay rent and to drink at the rugby club at the university as much as I wanted to, and to socialize, and to run a car and to do everything else. So I think it was over. I saw an advertisement. So we finished university in November, and I had 3 months off, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I saw this advertisement for timeshare sales on an island just outside of Brisbane, Tangalooma Island. And I thought, well, I'll just go sell timeshare. I had no idea how to sell. No. So they flew me across. I did the induction, and selling timeshare to people from the country specifically, the bush or the outback, they'd fly them in. And these people are hardworking people. And I'd take them around the island, show them the timeshare, and sit down with them and close them under palm trees. And then when they said, I said, "Look, you actually deserve this week. You work so hard. You deserve this 1 week a year. You can transfer it to someone else, somewhere else if you wish. This 1 week a year is yours." And the wife would always look at the husband and say, "Yeah, we do deserve this." And I'd call always girls under the palm tree, and they'd pop the champagne, they'd bring it across there, and deal's done. And I'd make $600. I'd make $600, and I was closing at least one a day, for 5 days a week. I'd see 3 people a day, 30% closing rate, 33% closing rate, whatever it is. And yeah, I ended up making $3,000 a week as a university student. And so I was by the time I got back to uni in February, I was the most popular university student you could ever find. I had money in my pockets. And so every break I had, I'd fly to Tangalooma and sell timeshare. And that was really good until one morning I woke up and got the newspaper, the old Courier Mail. And on the front page, it was my timeshare resort that apparently instead of selling like you normally sell 48 weeks of the year in a timeshare because you need maintenance, etc. Well, they were selling about 160 weeks per unit in a timeshare. So it was pretty much fraudulent. And so that was the end of my timeshare career. But that did last 2.5 years. It was very good. But it's where I learned how to sell. And I was taught by an American. They flew with an American out from Florida, the home of timeshare in those days, because it was very new in this country. And he was great. It was fantastic. Anyway, I don't know where we got into that. So you've gone from that, you've retired. You've retired.
Semi. Yes.
semi-retired. And did you have an idea what you wanted to do? If you're
Not
going
at
to do
all.
anything at all? Nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
So
I have ideas like, you know, I had ideas of actually, I don't know how, but like I started watching DIY programs and I'm like, oh, I can build benches and I can build tables and I can build all this stuff. Yeah, I can't. I found out the hard way. I can't.
you can't. Brilliant. So then how do we know each other? Well, we've corresponded in the past together and obviously on FOH, seen Manny on FOH. And I was with Mike Morgan only, what, 6 weeks ago? I think
Yeah,
about
just about
6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago.
at
Which was
State
the,
Social House.
yeah, what was it called again?
State Social House?
That's it. Well, Mike took me there after our long lunch. We had a long lunch at Avra, which is brilliant. And we were just there having some Negronis. And I think it was Hiram who walked in first. And,
Correct.
yeah. And then who's also a member in the forum. And then Manny walks in and they popped across and introduced themselves. And we had a great. And then Manny was carrying one of these, this beautiful cigar case. And I've heard of Sotelo cigar cases. This is the 10 cigar case that Manny graciously gifted me.
Yeah, that's our Perfecto
Uh,
model.
That is stunning. And since then, I've taken it to Asia and I've taken it to my recent trip to Vanuatu. It has become my carry case of choice, not just by a little bit, but forever. How the hell did you go from being semi-retired to owning Sotelo cases to manufacturing them to designing them? What was the early days? What went through your mind? How did you
So
do it?
so Cuba had opened for America back in early 2017. So I took my very first trip. I was one of the first people there from America legally to go when they opened it up. And I discovered customers, you know, La China,
Yeah.
uh, Juanita, all of those people. And so I started bringing back all these cigars and I would go meet up with friends like, hey, I just came back from Cuba. I'd say 2, 3 times. I would go every month. So every 3 to 4 weeks, I would be there in Cuba. And I'd come back. I'm like, guys, you got to try this. You got to try this. You got to try this. And so we'd all meet up. And Instagram has started becoming even more popular at that time. So, you know, you take your pictures on Instagram, show everybody, and everyone's like, oh, that's cool. And you develop like on FOH, you develop this kinship with everybody who you meet. And eventually you end up meeting those people. So I was going back and forth, and I got tired of always going to like really nice restaurants or places with either a backpack, a duffel bag, and then pulling out Ziploc bags. Now, don't get me wrong, Ziploc bags are great, they're excellent. But when you pull them out, sometimes your cigars are kind of just sitting in there, getting tossed around. You're going to damage your foot, damage the wrapper, and it just doesn't look that classy. You know, when you're with your boys in the backyard, that works. But when you're going to nicer places, you want a nicer thing. So at that time, I was carrying just too many Ziploc bags or bundles, and I wanted a cigar case to put my cigars in to maybe take care of them and put all my lighters and cutters as well because everything was still bouncing around in the backpack that I would have. Nobody had large cigar cases at that time. The only there was one other company. They were the first to pretty much do the cigar cases and offer it in fivers, but they didn't have what I needed. So I went to downtown LA. Um, I did some research with some houses down here that create things, and I walked in there. I gave them my idea, like a sketch of what I wanted, and they made it. It was the ugliest thing in the world, but for being the very first one, they made it. It was just like a big square, and there was no, how can I put it? It was just loose leather, and it was just like I said, the ugliest thing in the world, but it kind of worked. So I ended up finding another place down here in downtown LA that I showed them what I wanted, and the guy actually took it away, and he's like, can I maybe make some suggestions or changes? And I was new to this whole thing. Remember, I came from workers' comp sales, and I came from trucking company all the way down to leather garments, luxury leather goods. It's like night and day. So then this gentleman, he's like, let's go ahead and why don't we change this, this, and this? And I was like, I like that. And my double zipper, it was actually, this was created by mistake, how the both zippers are side by side. One zipper was supposed to be here and one zipper was supposed to be on this side. And what happened was he put it like this, and I looked at it and I was like, that's nice. I like that. And that was his contribution to the case. And yeah, my first one was a 10 cigar case, actually 20, excuse me. So 10 on each side. So we open up long ones like this. So you have 10 cigars here, 10 cigars here, and the presentation was just beautiful. And then you'd flip it this way, and then you had your accessories, and that was it. But it was very big and bulky. It was like double the size, maybe almost triple the size of that. Because it was our very first one back in, I want to say, I thought about this in 2016, and it came about mid 2017.
2017. So you've got your first case and you started using it yourself.
Yes, it was only for myself. I didn't plan on.
You hadn't thought about what it's become today, which
Correct.
is a highly successful.
I try.
No, in fact, what I was going to ask you, define your business right now. How would you define it? What is your business? And you make cigar cases, but it's not just making cigar cases.
It's innovating, and it's never settling. It's funny that you bring that up because I was up since what? I started a project around 7:30. I went to a friend's house. We had a light dinner and smoked cigars, but we started this new project around 7:30, and I didn't end until about 5 this morning with a new case that I'm designing. So I hope to have that out within the next 3 weeks. I'm always trying to take my case to the next level, not just settle, not just make, how can I put it? I didn't make a case to sell you guys, to sell anybody. I made a case for myself. And when I made my case, I made it to what my specifications as a cigar smoker were. And I put a lot of thought and effort, and I was lucky that I had a lot of friends who actually put their input in there. And we came up with our 10 case, actually, which you have there. There was a model right before that one. This is the newer one, but how can I put it? I know I went off on a tangent there, and I lost my train of thought a little bit, but yeah, bring me back in, reel me back in.
Well, I was going to say, now you've gone through your philosophy in terms of, I mean, it just doesn't have to, I mean, they look magnificent, but they've got to be functional.
Right.
And they've got to last. Well, for me, something like this has to last. I buy things that last forever if I can. I want something to last forever. I was taken, I'm going to go back to your beginnings in a second. I was stunned at the zips on these, the quality of the zips, the quality of the hardware on this, the rubber seals, which maintain your humidity within the case itself.
Yes.
It reminds me, I travel, it reminds me of my backpack.
Okay.
The backpack I've had for 12 years, 13 years. And it's a Toomey backpack. And when I bought it, I think it cost me 750 Aussie dollars, 500 US for a backpack, or 600 US for a backpack back then. I must have gone around the world now 30 times with that backpack. Every zip still works. There's not a mark on it. And it'll last me, I'm sure, another 20, 30 trips around the world. That's what I want when I purchase something. I don't want to have to replace it in 2 years. I want it to be part of me. I want it to be part of who I am. I want it I want it to be my partner in whatever I do. And when I got home and I really played with your case, and I look at it even now and I touch it. I'm in awe of the quality, the absolute dedication to quality, which now I'm going to swing back to those early days. I know what it's like to start businesses. I know what it's like to have frustrations. What was your biggest frustration in those early days? Even today, going through to today, early days specifically, what was your frustrations?
Quality. That was it. Designing a product that not only looked nice, but more importantly, functioned. It had to do what I needed to do as a cigar smoker. I'm not just trying to like, oh, here's this nice little leather bag, put your cigars in it. It was, did it hold the right amount of cigars? Was it going to take care of my cigars by not damaging the wrapper or the foot? My accessories. I wanted something to hold my accessories, my cutters, my lighters. If I had more cutters and lighters or custom cigar tools, I wanted to make sure that those were also protected because, I mean, I spend a lot of money on accessories, and I hate when you pull out something nice and it's scratched up because of what they didn't properly take care of the pockets and they didn't line them properly with a softer material. You know, I wanted a. I had seen at that time everybody was using a regular zipper, and I'm like, well, humidity is leaking from there, so you're constantly stressing out your cigars, if you will. So my whole thing was to go ahead and get like a rubberized zipper, to try to help maintain and hold the humidity, and then the regular zipper for your accessories, and try to keep everything separate. Because one thing that I don't like is always, if I go out, always opening up my cigar cases, because most cigar cases right now are just like that. One zipper in the middle, and you're always opening it. You're always leaving it out. Exposure to air, it's losing humidity, especially if you're out for a couple of hours with friends. Something could happen. I've been at a bar where somebody spilled a drink and it got all over everybody's cigars. Few and far in between, yes, but it happened. So when I made my cases, I made several different renditions of it. And one of them was the two zipper that you saw, to where once you got your cigar, close it up, you're fine. You can leave your accessory pouch open and always just grab your lighter cutter for your touch-ups or whatever you needed to do. But it was not only just being able to have everything at your fingertips, but making sure your pockets didn't rip when you opened it up, making sure you had the proper way to hold your cigars. I mean, that's what this hobby is about, are your cigars. I've seen so many people spend thousands of dollars on boxes, and then they throw them in a plastic bag and they just get damaged. Like, what was the point of all that? You could have just bought a Nicaraguan cigar. And at the same time, I wanted my cases to be somewhat stylish and to, walk in somewhere to be proud to carry it. And like I said, when I came up with these designs, they weren't meant for sale. And it just so happened that I'd go to places, hang out with friends, and like, where'd you get that cigar case? Oh, well, I made it. Can you make me one? And at first, the first couple times I was like, well, I don't know. I got to go back to the guy, see what they're going to tell me. And it wasn't cheap for R&D for this. It's a very costly. People don't realize how expensive it can get, and the amount of money, trial and error. It's more the trial and error and the passion that goes into it, because you're expecting something, and when it doesn't come out right, it kind of lets you down, and you're kind of like a little sad that your vision didn't come out, but eventually it came out right, at least for me, and I'm happy for that.
No, that failure is such a, when you have that entrepreneurial spirit, failure is part of the program. What do you settle on? And what's that saying, Manny, that don't let perfect get in the way of good.
Right.
But it's hard, yeah, because you want it to be perfect. You want it to be perfect.
It's true, because I had some friends also when I was creating my cases. I'm like, well, I don't like this because it looks like this. And their whole thing was, Manny, it's good enough. Nobody's going to know. You're right. Nobody might not know, but I'm going to know. And it bothers me. Like, I want to, if my name's on, and my name is on my cases now, that's an extension of me and who I am. Yeah, I'm not perfect, but I'm always trying to at least working to try to be the best version of myself that I can. Same with my cases. I want to give people the best version that I possibly can at that moment, and know that I'm trying to do more every time and trying to make my case even better. and make it last longer. You know, I want my cases to be an heirloom piece. Like, oh, you know, we got a Sotelo from, you know, 2017 and it's already, you know, I want my cases to outlast me. You know, like when I'm gone, I'd like my cases to still continue going. Whether that happens or not, we'll see. But it's one of those.
What is the material that holds? Because each cigar is held within these beautiful perforated. What is that material? It's a rubberized. Is it?
So it's not rubberized. What it is,
rubber,
no. It's a cotton blend.
Cotton. Okay.
I call it. Yeah. I call it a living fiber. And the reason why with the cotton blend is because I wanted something soft for your cigars, especially like for those delicate wrappers on some of the older cigars. You should be able to just get your cigar, pop it in there, and it's going to stay, and it's not going to damage it at all. So to me, that was very important. I tried different materials, and that blend came out the best. It's just that, believe it or not, that's the hardest part of the case. Everything else is pretty easy to make. I mean, everything's technical, yes, but getting the right blend, and I've had to throw whole rolls away because the blend wasn't right. They might be a little too hard, way too soft, and they just don't hold the cigar.
And hold it, yeah.
And it has to hold the cigar. So if you look, we didn't just, how can I show you right here? I didn't just get some material, like a little wave system. Each one kind of goes, bubbles in. And the reason why it hits up top is so that way it gives it a little bit of pressure to hold your cigar. So that way it maintains. So you can flip it over and they won't fall out. I believe we have some Instagram videos on that showing that people just flipping the hell out of it. They're not gonna fall out. And there's just enough pressure, tension, that it's not gonna damage your wrapper, and it's gonna hold your cigar in place every time.
No, I've noticed that in my travels with it. The cigars are always perfect. On the back here, you've got a zip.
Yes.
And in that zip, I found a Boveda pack.
Yes, there should be two in there.
There is two Boveda packs. There are two Boveda packs in there. What were you thinking? What was your thinking behind that? So you zip that up. What was you thinking? So that holds it, that humidifies the cigars themselves.
Yes.
Yeah?
My whole thing is if you're taking a whether you call it a leather cigar case, a travel humidor, the point of this case should be to help maintain proper humidity for your cigars, to keep them in the same environment that you had in your humidor. So what I did is I created a making me nervous here now. I created a system to where you see that zipper on the very back, right there where the Boveda packs go. There's perforated holes in here, as you can all see, and that transfers into here, allowing the humidity to flow through. These are perforated as well. They match, so they line up. So humidity is always constantly being fed through here. And the perforation in the loop system is to allow humidity and air to move freely. So that way there's no dead spot in regards to humidification not being able to penetrate and surround your whole cigar.
Yeah.
Because as you know, with like, say, for instance, a lot of people have those like Pelican style cases and they have the foam. What that foam does is it robs you of your humidity because foam sucks up humidity. And so it's drying out your cigar. Obviously, it's not going to dry it out like right there and then, but over time, it starts to dry out your cigar. And I wanted to try to do something different to avoid that. That's why we didn't put just regular foam cigar inserts in here.
And hence the reason for the, I mean, you probably can't see this, guys, but hence the reason for the rubberized.
Correct. To maintain the humidity.
Maintain the humidity in there. I mean, these are industrial quality. I mean, it's the feel of them is magnificent. So yeah, it all works together.
Yes.
That's the whole idea.
And one of the things is with our lining inside here. I mean, if you take a look at it, this looks, I mean, identical to leather. The actual lining in here is a premium microfiber. And the reason why I went with this instead of leather, some of my cases do have leather in there, but this holds humidity much better than the overall leather. So when you close it up and you seal it, your zipper, I mean, it's going to hold humidity better than any case out there, hands down.
No, agreed.
Because it's not porous, so the humidity has nowhere to go. It's just going to stay in there.
So you've got your 5s and you've got your 10s.
Yes.
And I think you're developing a 20 again. Is that correct?
Yes, we're making a 20. The 20 is going to be a little bit more of a full travel case where you're going to be able to put your, your iPad or your 16, 17-inch laptop book in there. You'll be able to carry a couple of other things. It's under development, and hopefully it'll be finished by November. I already had one made, but unfortunately it didn't look the way I wanted it to look. It just looked like the 10, but fatter. And cosmetically, it didn't look good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I wanted something that's going to be elegant, especially for the price we're going to pay, because there's a whole lot of leather inside that one that's going to be made. It's going to have retractable handles. It's going to, the whole nine. It's going to have everything.
I just taking the guys through the other section, which is the section for your accessories in this case.
Yes.
So you've got, well, it's upside down to begin with, but so you've got a cigar case here, which is what, just for a few extras, or what was it?
You can technically put a few extras in here, or it can accommodate your larger cell phones. So you can put that in there. Or just some of your larger accessories, like the larger scissor type accessories, cutters. Some people have candlestick lighter types. You can put that in there. And then we have a gentleman that we actually work with. His name is Troy. And Troy makes probably some of the best custom cigar tools. And so with that, he made this little guy that holds a perfect draw, your cigar nubber, a stand, a tabletop stand or cigar holder, and then the perfect draw glue. And each of those fit in this little tray, and you slide that in, and you're ready to go. You have everything you could possibly need. It's, your cigar kit's complete. Your cigar survival kit, if you will.
No doubt you get, as we say in Australia, you get recommendations from the peanut gallery, and I'm very much part of that peanut gallery right there. You know what I'd love? And we ever work together and make something like this, I'd love that to be in the form of detachable.
Okay, you're moving ahead. That's already for next year.
Oh, there we go. I'm not part of the peanut gallery.
I gotta keep people interested. Yeah, so that was gonna be this year's model, but then I was like, I wanted to make sure I got it right. So with that happening, that can maybe be an exclusive for you guys. They're going to be perforated holes in the back that'll be able to be chambered off. So that way, when you do detach it, because it's going to be magnetically held, you'll be able to take it with you wherever you'd like to go. But yeah, that's
absolutely. I was just thinking, I'm in Hong Kong. I've got my case. I'm meeting up with Buzz and a couple of other guys there. I just go bang into my jacket pocket, and I'm away.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't want to take this guy. Maybe it's too big for you. But that's what we're working on.
I'm going to catch up for some Negronis at WTF bar, and yeah, perfect. And I know it's going to be 4 o'clock in the morning by the time we finish, and so I don't want to leave this behind in terms of that. But that's, mate, I love it. So, yeah, so you've got it. You got your designs. You got people talking that they want to buy and they love it. Make me one, Manny. Make me one, Manny. You go into scale. How do you scale a business like this?
Very stressfully, because it's always making sure that the product comes out right, and that the quality is behind there. And I mean, scalability for me, I'm lucky. I have a small workroom, 2 that I currently work with, and the people who we have in there are amazing. They've been with me for 4 to 5 years, technically. And they do a great job. And I'm blessed to have them. I don't believe in, oh, let's just go to this shop. They're going to make my cases for me cheaper. No, it's about the people who are there, who know what they're doing. Yeah. And they're going to get it done right because they know I have a personal relationship with them. So they're going to take extra care of my product, which I'm very fortunate, you know. And yes, I've had a hiccup or two where some cases, unfortunately, I got a shipment of current ones that the zipper was just totally horrible. So it's, you know, little things like that that do happen. But for the most part, I'm very fortunate to have a good workroom and a good team behind me.
Oh man, you should try running a cigar factory. Jesus Christ. You think you've got it all right. You've nailed it. You've got it all right. And you know, I've said it before, people on deep dives, that as CEO, your job is to handle asteroids that come around. Design, plan, have fun, but you know full well there's another problem through next week that you're going to have to handle.
You know,
And
it's not easy.
and you use it as a motivating factor and as a development factor. So I actually look forward to asteroids now. I used to hate it.
Okay.
Oh, it's coming next week. Now I look forward to it because I know it's going to progress you. It's going to punch the frog. Yeah, it's going to progress
Yeah.
you.
I think at least for me, it's you know, the stressful moments are what make me a little stronger because being able to overcome those stressful moments and working out or figuring out just it's so satisfying. You know, you've ran into this large, huge problem. How do I solve it? You know, because if this was easy, everybody'd be doing it. You know, it's one of those things, you know. So yeah, I mean, challenges are nice, but I'm lucky that I actually have a good group of friends and customers behind me who in the past have helped me with some challenges and, you know, make recommendations and got me to where I'm at today and the case to where it's at, the way it looks, the functionality, etc.
But you must feel $1 million when you walk into Cigar Social or somewhere else, anywhere around the world with your case, and I can only I'm not an artisan. Yeah, you're an artisan. Just that beautiful sense of achievement must, yeah, it must be special.
You know, for me, it's 50-50. I'm always happy to hear people, you know, oh, you make a great case. It's nice. But at the same time, I also worry because it's like, what if I get that one guy, oh, I can't stand your case, da 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 da. So I'm always on that, how can I, that somewhat defensive because it makes me nervous because, you know, yeah, I like the praise and it's nice, everything that comes along with it. But there's always that, for me at least, well, what if, like, or how can I make my case better? And you know, do they really like my case or are they just saying that because they're right in front of me? You know, I've told customers in the past, I'm like, be honest with me. If there's something you don't like, let me know. Because if you don't like that, maybe there's 100 other people who don't like it or would want to see this on the case, and let's do it. And so, yes, back to, you know, what you said
You
is
struggle.
nice.
You come across as someone a little bit like me who struggles with praise. Yeah.
Yeah, it does
Yeah, and you struggle with praise.
because I'm just I like to feel like it feels nice, yeah, but I'm just like you. I'm just a normal guy. I just want to make the best possible case that I can for you. That's it. You know, and if you're happy, you know, here's a cigar. Thanks. To me, that's more praise than I can imagine, like, you know, appreciate.
So what's coming up in Sotelo cases? So you've got a new development coming out in a couple of, what you're saying, a couple of months or 2 or 3 weeks, or what have you got coming out?
In a couple of weeks. So right now, we have our G2 series. This is the Cuba flag bag, the G2 series. These literally were a late launch last year. They were supposed to be early last year, but they came late. So now I have the new V series coming out, which is going to be out right before Father's Day.
Okay.
And so basically, it's the same design like this. I mean, tight lines, you know, everything you expect from us. But what we did is we moved the handle from the bottom to the top. So that way now, because when you sit your case down, it kind of tilts forward and sometimes can fall, and it just takes up a larger place on a table. So now what we did is we moved it up so it sits perfectly flat, and that's taken care of. And now in here, not all of them have embossing, but what we did is we put some slits And this is something that we're going to progress on and make it better throughout the years. But what we did is we are cutting slits in here, and you're going to be able to put Spanish cedar in there. So we're working with a company out here in Minnesota who are going to make our custom Spanish cedar sheets, and you'll be able to slip them in there to at least give you that, hold a little bit extra humidity and give you that Spanish cedar smell. And then you'll also be able to put a Spanish cedar. We're giving you two sizes, one that's going to go down here, and you'll put your loop system in there. It'll lock in because obviously it's magnets. So you'll lock in and you'll be good to go. So you have cedar on the bottom with the humidity still coming up, and cedar right here. So those are the two major changes on our new V series.
Brilliant.
And that'll, like I said, I'll probably put those up starting tonight for pre-sale. For friends of Abanos, if you're okay with it, or anybody, I'll give you guys a discount code for 25% off. But only for you guys, not the whole world. So we'll just keep it here.
Oh, Manny, honestly, it's a little bit. I did a deep dive with, to give the guys an idea of where I'm involved in this. I'm not. So as we did with the Sissaman lighters from Finland, and I spoke with Axel and had him on the program and did that. The bane of my life has always been accessories, because most of them are crapish. So when I come across something like that, and I can recommend this to anyone out there, like anyone who's into cigars and really appreciates fine workmanship, if I come across that, I'm going to promote it. I don't care. I mean, this is, helping good people, spreading the word amongst good people is the key here. So not 1 cent comes to me, people. I want you to experience this, and we'll put the link at the bottom of this video where you can go do this, and Manny can do a promotion on FOH. He can do whatever he likes as far as I'm concerned, because as long as you're producing this level of quality and putting a smile on people's faces and making something that's truly functional in our hobby, in our love, then yeah, forever and a day, you can do whatever you like on FOH. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it to the ends of the earth. This is something completely special. You've had a tremendous career in business, Manny. If you could, and there's a lot of guys in our network in FOH who are in business or starting businesses. If there's any recommendations, because you've been through good times, hard times, etc., what little pieces or nuggets of gold can you give to those people who are starting out in business, who are coming up with ideas? What would you give them as a little bit of advice?
Don't stop. Don't stop. Keep going. Doesn't matter whether you failed or not. Pick yourself up and keep going. Believe in yourself and your product. That's it. And everything else will work out. But don't stop. Keep going.
Make it special. Make it special.
And yeah, I mean, just, believe, if you put your heart and everything you've got into a product, I believe it'll come through and it'll work out in the end. But you also got to, be likable and market a little bit too, and put yourself out there. But just don't stop. Keep going.
How many people do you listen to? I mean, it's one of the great challenges when you're actually developing product is there are a million people giving you advice.
There are a million people giving me advice, but believe it or not, I listen to all of them, because there might be that one little thing that I'm missing. And a lot of times it's been that little thing that I was missing that made it onto my case because of just listening. And, I've had friends who, why don't you do, does some crazy things, but it's like once in a while they'll come through with a little piece of key, not so much information, but idea that'll make it into the case, and that helps make my case go again to the next level. Like, we never stop innovating here. That's one thing that I'm very fortunate on, is everybody is, and from now I got customers, hey, I'm thinking about buying your case, but why don't you think about doing this? and I'll have a conversation with them all. Lo and behold, yeah, actually we are going to do that, but it's a couple months down the line. I can't put everything out right at once because then it might overwhelm people. And I always want something, on the downline to know that, hey, we have new stuff coming, so it might benefit you to wait, or you might want to pick up the whole collection. But yeah, I mean, I listen to everybody because, again, if there's one person with that ideal or complaint, there might be 100 of them, and why not solve it? And I look at it like they're taking their time to give me feedback, whether positive or negative, but they're giving me that time, and that's just going to help me make a better case, hands down. That's
Yeah.
it.
If you were to give a piece of advice to your 25-year-old self, you could give it, you will remember when you were 25 and what would that piece of advice be?
Well, that would probably be don't go to Thailand. No, I had a great time. I'll say that. Everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna work out as it should. That's probably me.
Yeah, nothing's ever going to be as good as you think or as bad as you think.
Right. And everything happens, I believe, as it should. You know, chance meetings. I mean, look where I'm at now, all because of a cigar. I've made so many amazing people who I can call family through FOH forums, through Instagrams. I finally got to meet you in person um, because of this. And everything works out as it should.
Cigars are great passports.
They are.
Yeah, they're great.
It's funny. All my current friends are from either FOH or from Instagram. All of them. And I don't really have any more outside friends. Yeah, I have my buddies that I grew up with, but that's just a different thing. But all my current friends that I hang out and give a lot of my time to were from FOH or Instagram. And I couldn't ask for a better group of people at all.
No, it's a brilliant community, and community doesn't sell it correctly. It's a brilliant group of friends.
Yeah. Or family.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people have, I've been to their weddings. I've been to some of these guys, I've been in their weddings, and some random guy I would not have known 5 years ago, It's amazing.
Yeah, true. So back to cigars. What are you smoking this afternoon or this evening?
Right now I'm smoking a Pai de Orce, Libano, Balbec. Like I said earlier, I opened this box up a couple of weeks ago, and these have just been smoking really, really nice. A little bit bigger than what I'm used to. I'm generally I'm a RAS guy. So my favorite cigar is Ramon Ionis from a 50 cap. That's my cigar. Like I never get tired of those. That and a good Esplendido. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with a good Esplendido ever. So
no, I tend to agree. I'm a huge RAS fan as well. 50 cabs particularly.
Yeah,
and they've been on point for the last couple of years as well. So they seldom ever let you down. Normally, you're a Robusto man. I mean, do you go much thinner than that, or what sort of vitalas are you in that 50 gauge?
So I have three sizes that are my loves. First and foremost, as a Lancero. I love a great Lancero. Second would be a Lonsdale. Third would be a Robusto. And Lonsdales, I just feel that you get what the blender was trying to create, because you just get the right amounts of tobacco in that size format without it getting too large and just too crazy and overwhelming. Lanceros are just a classic size. I mean, Cohiba Lancero or Funadores, they're classics instantly, and they're always great. Hard to make, but always great.
Tend to agree. Some of the best cigars I've ever had are Lanceros and Dahlias. I love that long 42 or 43 gauge cigar. I think that they deliver complexity. They deliver a unique profile in their smoking. You can fall in love with them if you can find something that really works for you. I wish there was more of them. We're making one now.
Bond Roberts is making one, right?
Yeah. We're making a Dahlia for BR, which is stunning. We had that one at our taste testing in New York, and it blew everyone away. And the minute we did that, we said, well, let's bring out a Lonsdale for nudies and mofo, because different between a 42 gauge and a 43 from a blender's perspective, you can make them spot on, very much a similar blend, but we're going to make that for those who want a very good everyday smoking Lonsdale.
Okay.
And that's in production now. So looking forward to releasing that in the next couple of months as well.
I look forward to trying one of those.
No, no, we'll get some too. I'd like to do some taste testing in LA. We've got New York sorted out. I'd love to do the same team in LA, that we can get Mike Morgan, yourself, Hiram together and do a series of tastings over 2 or 3 days of all the new stuff for 2027, 26 and 27. And the other place I'm going to do is my good mate Cliff Woods in Charleston. I love Charleston. It's such a great, and they've got such a strong community. And really, I think taste testing works best in communities where I know everyone in that taste testing group has a love of cigars. They're all there for the right reasons. And it's a festive, enjoyable period of time that where truths are told and where you can get true feedback, and where Hamlet's there and he can explain what's went through his head at the blending perspective, what worked and what didn't work. And then we go back and we do it again. And what works, we keep. What doesn't work, as I've said it before, it's like a Formula One car that's on a test track. No, yeah, it's almost right, but we've got to go back. We've got to redesign it. We've got to twinkle with the engine, bring it back out. We'll run it again until we get it right. You got to get it right, much the same as your cases. You got to get it right.
Yes.
Right. Something that I love. In your case, something that you love and your clients love, then you've got it right. Is it for everybody? Probably not. But can I tell you guys, if you're into cigars, that is the best case in the world today. And I've seen them all. That is the best case in the world today. I'm not pimping them. I'm not shilling them. But I can't tell you how much enjoyment you're going to get out of that case. There's a link down below. Go to Sotelo, order this case, or wait for his new ones coming out, which are in 5s. Yeah, the new ones are how many? They're 5 cases, or
They're going to be in 5. So the new V series, which is our connoisseur model, what I just showed you. Then what I decided to do is, you touched on something that sometimes the case isn't for everybody. Well, I'm trying to make a case for everybody. So what I did now, the new line that's going to be coming out is going to be for like an entry level line. So it's not going to be, crazily priced. It's going to be for people who are just starting off, aren't sure if this is going to be the hobby for them or not, or how far deep they want to get into this hobby, because you can get down the rabbit hole pretty quick in this hobby, as I'm sure you know. And so I want to give them something to, so they can feel part of the community, so they can be part of the family. So we are coming up with something like that, and I hope to have a sample probably about the same time that the new V series come out, which is in about maybe right before Father's Day. So yeah, just in about 14 days. And then I'm re-upping on the case you have, which is the Perfecto, with some new colors, new leather design. So looking forward to that. So I should be well stocked by right before Father's Day.
Manny, thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, thank you for all you're doing in terms of the cigar community. Your passion, I can feel it. Every time I touch this case, I think of you. I can feel your passion. I can feel your commitment. It's a rarity in this world of mass-produced items.
Yeah.
It's artisanal. It's gorgeous. And I wish you every success. And I look forward to being part of your journey.
I look forward to all of that as well. And I just thank you for this opportunity. And, I thank you for just creating the community you've created through Friends of Aloneness. Because like I said, I've been able to develop some pretty nice friendships and create good communities because of you. So thank you for that, for everything you've done for everybody. And everything
very kind words, very kind words. But communities are built by their members, and we're blessed to have them all.
Yeah, very.
Thank you, my friend. Every success.
Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Cheers, mate.